we're talking about global storytelling.
Yeah.
And of course, this was my first thought to do this song.
Yeah, that's good too. That works too.
Yeah, the hook has been around the world. It's not about losing your baby. That's not what we're talking
about. The global nature of her search that we are interested in.
So we're really, really happy that you're here today, and we're really happy that you are here and signed up to learn about global storytelling. So my name is Jessica McFadden, and I am our LinkedIn Live person here at Stories Incorporated. And if you weren't aware, Stories Incorporated is a employer branding and recruitment marketing content studio, and we're all about capturing employee stories to bring culture to life. And so we create lots of digital media, and we talk about the strategies and the best ways to capture culture that really connects with audiences. You can learn more about it in the links that we're sharing in our chat. But today, I'm so excited to be joined by Stories Incorporated's partner and co-founder, Lauren Sargent.
Hey, everybody.
So Lauren is not only joining us today to talk about global storytelling, she's also going to be taking the summit stage at World Employer Branding Day in Lisbon. You really are Mrs. Worldwide. You know. And so you're going to be talking about subjects like this in October when you go to World Employer Branding Day too.
Yes, I'm really excited for that. So if anybody is on LinkedIn Live today that's also going, hit me up. I would love to meet with you while I'm there, say hello. And I'm really excited to be on this LinkedIn Live today. What's the saying? Long-time listener, first-time caller? I mean, I've been to every single one of our LinkedIn Lives, but I've never actually been on it. So I'm usually the link lady.
Right.
So anyway, I'm really thrilled to be here.
No, it's so great to have you here on camera. You have so much to share with us today. We're really excited to have your insights. And so actually the entire marketing team is here online for our LinkedIn Live because Bernadette is joining us in the chat. So Bernadette Lonnie is our head of account-based marketing, and she is just a Stories longtime colleague and real expert on everything we do. So you can connect with her in the chat if you have any questions that come up. And then she'll also be sharing resources related to the strategies that Lauren will be sharing too.
Excellent. Hi, Bernadette.
Hey. And just a little bit of housekeeping. We can't always see the questions in real time. So if there's a lag and there's a delay, then we'll get to your questions afterwards. We'll connect with you, but we'll try and answer any that come up. Also, Lauren, you've mentioned that when you're streaming like this, you can't see what people are chatting, even though normally that's where you are from the Stories account.
Yeah. Well, and I'm kind of sad. I mean, maybe no one's hearting us right now, but usually when I see your face and a member of the Stories Inc. team that's the co-host, I'm always doing that heart emoji and it like floats up on the screen. Now I see that we can't actually see that. So if you're talking to us, we'll talk to you after. We'll watch it back and then we'll interact with you then, but we can't actually see it while we're talking.
I know. The way the platform is, it's not actually on LinkedIn Live. On LinkedIn, you have to use another thing. DM me if you want to hear about all the intricacies of it. But if we actually had our LinkedIn open right now, there would be like weird feedback, like when you call into a radio station and they tell the caller. Anyway, that totally dated me, by the way.
So I think the Lisa Stansfield also like dated both of us because we're like, oh yeah, she can't find her baby. Yeah, that's from the 90s. I hear you. That's a great song.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great when I was 12. So cool. So Lauren, why did you want to share with our community the strategies for global culture storytelling?
Yeah, I think one reason I really want to talk about this today is because we are seeing such a resurgence of this work as an agency. You know, we support employer brands. And so everything Jessica and the Stories Inc. team does in marketing is rooted in how we can be most helpful to our audience. And, you know, not only is our team traveling the world, and we're also interviewing employees virtually, we are talking about and planning global projects all day long, every day. So I'm excited because not only do we have the expertise, but I know it's what our audience really wants to know about. And we have a large number of people that also registered today to hear about it. So it's great that we can be really hopefully we can be really helpful to you as you're thinking through how and why you'd want to start a global employee storytelling program.
Wonderful. And why do you think it's become even more popular lately with our clients and our partners and new organizations contacting us?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a few reasons. It seems kind of like the perfect storm. So, first it started, because of the pandemic, almost all of our projects turned global because we were filming and interviewing employees virtually. And so that we could easily interview people living anywhere in the world. And so most of our projects then became global as a result. And while we're still conducting virtual story sessions, is what we call them, all around the world, like our project manager, Shannon Edwards, just interviewed someone, virtually at 4 a.m. We see the pendulum swinging to in-person right now. So most of our projects are actually interviewing employees in person around the world. So in fact, Anna Lippi has been traveling the world for months interviewing employees for our clients. And I think she's been to like 6 countries in 2 months. And other members of our teams are traveling too. But another reason, and I know that this is really obvious, but the last time most companies showed what working in the office was like was pre-pandemic. And so all of that media, all those visuals are really dated. And not only are spaces updated, but it's also really important now to show hybrid and working from home. And a lot of companies just don't have the visuals right now to show candidates what working at their company looks like at this point in time. And there's also another reason why global storytelling projects have increased. It usually it includes a wider range of employee perspectives, which include geographic representation, and that's become really important to creating good diversity and inclusion content. And that's another area of our expertise. So I'd say those are all the reasons why we are very doing a lot of global storytelling work right now. And this is a great topic for us to take on today.
So here, I was just sharing the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Sharing the screen to show, how some of these newer photographs that we're capturing can really, communicate culture today. Of course, we're going to also be sharing lots of video examples so that we can show and not just tell some of these strategies today too. So let's get right to the point. Why fundamentally is it a good idea for an organization to have a global storytelling strategy in their comms?
Yeah, it's really important to understand what's consistent about your culture and work experience, no matter where in the world people are working. So that's, of course, how you differentiate yourself for candidates. But because a global culture content project involves interviewing a wide variety of employees who we would say are thriving, the people who are successful in your culture, all over the world, as a culture communicator, you're going to get a really good understanding of what the universal experience is like. So I'd say that's one. Then the second is that when you're interviewing employees on camera, like we do and we of course recommend, then you have all of that content to actually explain it in specifics to candidates.
And I know that we also capture local cultures also. So kind of like it's almost like connected, or the inverse, the mirror of it is not only showing the global, but if you're a big company with lots of locations, showing local. Am I right?
Yes. Right. I mean, the goal is to never, ever be disingenuous or to make too sweeping of a statement. So it's, of course, very important, as we said, for global culture content and global culture. But you also have to identify and respect what makes different offices unique, and really capture that as well. So that's also incredibly valuable and important. And, so you really have to do both. You speak at the high level about like what it's like no matter where in the world you work, but also as specific as you can get. And for global projects, oftentimes that's what a specific office is like.
Okay. So that's the big global storytelling communications paradox we're going to tackle today. And you are here to help, other culture communicators simplify that and make it easier for them. And I just want to say that I'm really, really excited that everything that we do on these LinkedIn Lives or our newsletter, it's all about really helping our community do the best that they can and get some new tips and ideas. So
that is the goal. Yeah, that is always the goal. Agree. We work hard. We try.
So we're hoping to have this, this LinkedIn Live, and every time we hit the live button or do a webinar, to make it as like tips packed as possible. So let us know if it doesn't. Although we are going to have examples that bring it to life, because otherwise it would just be us talking and sharing 90s music.
And it wouldn't be like a Stories Inc. thing if we don't have like stories to share, like actual examples and proof, right? So yeah. I'm excited when we get there. But I know there's three things we're planning on talking about today. So the first would be, how to identify those universal culture themes when a company has a global presence and people working all over the world. And the second would be, how to localize those stories to, geo-target and highlight what makes each office unique. And then the third, as I mentioned, we're just doing these projects all day long, talking about them on the sales side all day long, and planning these projects all day long. So I've brought some of our frequently asked questions, and we know that we're going to hear from you about your questions too. But hopefully, by us answering some of the questions we're always asked, it'll either answer a question you have or get you thinking about something that maybe you hadn't considered as you're planning your own project.
That's right. And if you really are watching live and you really want your question answered, you can also direct message me, Jessica Slovak McFadden, on LinkedIn, because I'll be able to see it pop up on my phone, unless there is that LinkedIn Live lag, and we'll get to you later. But we'll try our very best. So, Lauren, if you don't mind, let's get into it. Challenge number 1: how can you communicate universal culture when your people are working all over the place?
Yes, so it will be an easy answer, which is employee stories and experiences. So we know the best way to communicate global culture company is by uncovering a wide range of stories from employees and leaders. And of course, this can be done virtually and in person. And together, these employee experiences surface real culture and like what is the common thread of what people are experiencing on a global scale. And oftentimes, those stories can help illustrate culture concepts like EVP or mission and values. And they can also illustrate, as we mentioned, what's unique about working, at an office, or more specifically at your company versus others. So it's probably no surprise that the key thing is employee stories. That's absolutely the answer. But I should say, for global to center it around global work and global content, it is good to have that connecting thread, whether that is connecting thread of stories that are related to global work or global opportunity, or even how people collaborate globally. So that's also a thought just in your questions and interviews, and a good source of content topics to talk to when you're communicating culture.
Okay, well, we have an example that does just that, and some stories that we uncovered for AIT Worldwide Logistics, and we've uncovered a lot of great stories from their employees. But the example, the little clip we're going to show you today, shows how the employees are, feeling connected to the global mission and also their globally distributed culture. And you kind of set us up about that work we're doing for AIT, because I'm also the tech person pulling up the video at the same time, changing the record on yeah, boldly. Okay. All right, I'm going to share the screen. We're gonna...
I like the fact that our little spot here in Atlanta makes us feel connected to the bigger picture globally. The little things that we do, the little things that I do, the processing that I do, and the orders that we ship has an impact on what is going on with AIT worldwide.
Being part of a global provider as AIT allows us to give solutions in the US, in Canada, in Germany, in China, India, and having that profile as a company bring us more opportunities at the table.
For example, the global pandemic, COVID, and here in Germany we had not enough medical equipment, so we had some problems, and the Federal Ministry of Health had an order, and we tried to deliver, but it was a huge order, and our colleagues in Asia helped us out, and this was special teamwork in this case.
Our company has an equal
Okay. I wish we could show you the whole video, but otherwise we would just be like sitting here, just like gazing longingly at these great employee stories. But Bernadette in the chat will be sharing the link so you can watch the whole video. But today, our little examples will just give you a taste so we can kind of really focus on the strategies. So why is this one of our examples today?
Yeah, I'd say, it does have that connecting thread of, how people are connected globally and how their work connects. But a global culture overview video like this is great. It serves a lot of purposes, but just making sure I always acknowledge your global culture story isn't just one tagline, one story, or one video. Global culture projects produce a lot of content, a library of content that's both individual stories and compilation content like that video. But ultimately, your global story is told through a collection of employee experiences that are both weaved together to illustrate different themes and also isolated to prove important points. So another example would be our work with Philips, where we interviewed employees from around the world that ultimately supported their EVP and their pillars. So one of their EVP pillars is, at Philips, you can reach your highest potential. So the video we created for that pillar in particular, we created something for every pillar, but for that one in particular, we focused on stories from employees who have been able to build their career because of global opportunities available at Philips.
Okay, I'm pulling that up.
At Philips really opened up and gave me the opportunity to explore different parts of the world. I was very intent professionally on working abroad. And fortunately, Philips provided me two experiences. In Amsterdam, I ran our CT business globally. We weren't ready after Amsterdam to go home. So we took on an assignment in Singapore, running imaging for the Asia Pacific region.
I had the opportunity to be part of the business process owner department. While I was still in this role, I received the opportunity to come to Panama to create the Center of Excellence. Now I'm managing a finance team. I lead 19 people in Brazil, in Mexico, and here also in Panama. They care about my career. They care about my growth.
At Philips, you can do very different things.
I don't want to cut her off, but we have to.
For time, we do. But I know we're sharing links to the case study that is very good and has lots of great information. And you can, of course, watch the full video after this, certainly. Yeah. So as a result of that project, Philips now has a library of content for their TA and brand teams that can speak to the employee experience globally. And they can tell a broad organizational story to millions of potential candidates.
Yes. So now we'd love your insights on that challenge number 2 that we talked about, localizing communications to reach a geo-targeted talent audience. How can a local office utilize a global content library for their geo-targeted talent and connection needs?
Yes, good question. I know I mentioned the more realistic you can be about an employee experience, the better. And you want to, respect and capture local office or team cultures too. So if you can go down even further from office to team or job level, that's also excellent. But when you're conducting a global employee story project and going into an office, you absolutely must create some content about that office. It's such a missed opportunity because you'll have all these great stories and look for those clues of what it's like to work there versus any other office in the organization. And then you can use those stories and that content, to target local candidates in short clips, and longer clips as well.
Okay, so we have another example. We also are going to share, this example is from Dell Technologies. Bernadette's also going to be sharing with you the full Dell Global video that we created. It's so great. I think one of the, it starts out with Michael Dell, and then it has someone saying, no matter where you go in the world, when you walk in, you're at Dell Technologies, which is cool. But then we also created specific local videos for different offices. And we have one from Dell in Montpellier, France. We're going to share with you.
My role is I'm a director for Channel Services Excellence. I cover full Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and I'm based here in Romania.
My name is Mathieu Chouquet. I'm an intern since a bit more than a year.
I'm a data center sales engineer in Montpellier Technologies. I'm coming from a beautiful French island, which is called Réunion Island. I am with Dell Technologies for the last 17 years. I'm Dutch.
I'm working for Global Business Services, and I'm supporting channel partners here in France.
I'm working as sales engineer assistant in public transactional group in the public sector. I'm 6 days in school in the month, the rest I'm here working. I'm Tunisian.
We've got a lot of nationalities here in Montpellier, so I think Montpellier is embracing what EMEA is about, in the sense that we've got so many different nationalities, people coming from so different types of backgrounds, and I think it's a good mix of culture, skills, and it shows what the diversity is all about within Dell Technologies in Montpellier.
I think Montpellier side is a special site because we are driving all the business for the EMEA market, and we have the support team. It's not just a sales center, it's a knowledge center. I designed some supercomputers in order to decode the human genome faster than before. And this is awesome to participate a little bit to the progress of science. I'm not selling the world directly, but I help them service the world.
When you come to the office every morning, you know it's not just going to...
Okay, I wish I had a work story where I really was helping save the world. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think that we are doing some cool work, communicating stories, though, of course. But that's a really great example, obviously. And you can see the whole video. Bernadette has it in the chat there. Lauren, what do you think that Dell does so well when they create their locally focused content?
I think that they really focus on the local audience. So I know that for example, in this video, we also created a French version, I believe. So we have versions with both French and English captions, and Dell generally just squeezes all of the value out of every global storytelling project. Every story has a purpose or it can be optimized for a channel. And so I think that's what they do. They do really well in that one in particular.
For sure. And they're always, just having diversity and inclusion just be a part of everything. I know that you've mentioned that before, that they just are just such a class act.
And flexibility. Yeah. DEI certainly and flexibility always come through almost every story.
So in that case, we have many versions. We have a French version with English captions. We have an English version with French captions. We do, we can reach all those different people, especially in some places so international like that French office. So I think we're ready to go into the FAQs, those frequently asked questions that you, as our co-founder at Stories Incorporated, and our project team receive when it comes to global storytelling. So what's number one biggest question you got?
Yeah, I'd say, since you mentioned the French and English versions, one of the questions that we get all the time is, how do we uncover stories in different languages? And so there's lots of different scenarios and lots of different factors, but I tried to just keep it simple, which is, so here's how we really approach that issue. So it really depends on the storyteller, the language, or the country. But if the storyteller speaks English, we'll capture the story in English first. And in fact, we recommend, when you're doing a project like this, you recommend in both the local language and English, so the content can be used locally and part of the global compilation content too. And we may so when we hear the story in English, we'll recap it and we'll kind of go through the highlights and refining it a little bit. And then we'll ask them to tell the story in their native language, highlighting the points we think that are most relevant to the culture content. And that's really been very helpful. So if the storyteller doesn't speak English, we do hire translators. And at first we were concerned about the ability to build a connection with the storyteller, which is really important for us to get great content. I mean, that's a whole lot about our process. That's what we built our whole methodology on is connecting with the storyteller. But it has worked out where we've been able to hire a translator and still get excellent content and have a great experience for the storyteller.
Awesome. Okay. And then what are some other tips or ways that you can have that connection come through when you're working with storytellers so that, you know, they're feeling comfortable?
Oh yeah, I should back up and also mention that captions, that's also important too. Sorry, I forgot something I should have said, which is also when we're creating, you know, content in different languages, know that captions are excellent, and there's so many different variations. So we've of course gotten someone's stories in Japanese, and then we've actually, you know, captioned in Japanese or captioned in English, or had the person in, you know, the video be in English and then captioned Japanese. So there's just lots that you can do with captions that are really helpful for audiences. But anyway, big question you asked, which is like, how do you build that rapport globally? You know, what are some things that you would need to consider? So yes, it's critical to build rapport with the storyteller ahead of time. And, you know, we have a whole prep process that we go through and think through, you know, what is going to make them the most comfortable sharing their experience with you on camera. So for global projects, it means connecting with storytellers at a time that works well with their time zone, just the most basic thought, because it's not about you. It's about the storyteller and showing that you want them to welcome you into their life and not make it difficult for them. So I'd say even when you're scheduling an interview time, sending details with days and times in their time zones, they don't have to do that, like convert in their head, is helpful. And it also means researching ahead of time any unique customs that might inhibit someone from freely sharing their stories. That's really important.
Like what are customs that can come into?
So like, I guess an example would be, you know, sometimes on the outset, our storytellers might be uncomfortable speaking in English on camera. So if they feel like if English is their second language, they may not, you know, they may be able to speak it fluently, but just not comfortable being on camera talking in English, which we of course totally understand. But we find that when we cover that off in the prep process about how it's not about perfection, and that's actually not what's most valuable about the story. It's something that can actually quell some nerves. But if someone is really nervous about it, we will, for example, we might send some questions ahead that we normally wouldn't. We don't normally send a whole list of questions ahead just because that's not helpful for a conversation. But if we know someone's really concerned about that, then we may send more questions ahead than usual so that they can be prepared if they'd like.
Oh, that's so thoughtful. As an American who can barely speak one language, I can only imagine, you know, that's just really a thoughtful way to connect with people.
Well, and I'd say one other thing that we've done recently is we've hired a production assistant that's local to the country too, that can help us understand the culture. And because we're usually, when you're doing a global storytelling project, it's not like you're spending months in one location. You have a limited amount of time. So we do ask for help that way too. So sometimes, you know, when we hire a production assistant from that country, these are people who are video professionals themselves. And so they're very productive on a film day, but they also understand certain things about interviewing and filming, and that's helpful to us both ahead of time as we're planning and also on the actual day. And one quick note is that for consistency's sake, you know, it is great to use the same photography for the entire global project. And that's something that we do like to do, but we recognize it's not always possible to use one person. So, you know, vetting and training local videographers can be important too to your strategy.
Okay. I know we're getting close to the end here. We have
I'm trying to talk so fast. I'm like, we got more tips. We got explained about around the world and Lisa Stansfield.
No music, no Lisa Stansfield music playing to like get us off the stage. We can go over the agency to leave if they want. So we don't have any questions yet. So we have some time for these other ones that we know that we get a lot. What if you don't only want to show the in-office culture, you know, the stairways and the conference rooms and the workspaces and all of that? What are some things you can do to show the global culture when people are working remotely?
Oh yeah, I mean, some of our favorite projects and very popular projects, in addition to like the global nature, is home visits.
Oh, I can show some pictures. I have that.
Good.
So
Great.
if
I
you
really
don't-
love them. I really love our.
All right, you'll still be
job.
talking
Great
as like
job,
a
Susan.
Brady Bunch person over here, but I'm going to show.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. So, for here, we would say be sure to capture people where they work now. And in addition to in-office filming days, think about capturing employees working from home, wherever your employees are based, wherever the work is happening. So employee stories should be honored with always good quality audio and video, even conducted virtually. So just think about ways photos, graphic design, and animation can enhance stories. But I love a photo. I love that.
So it's totally okay if you are showing, people are working while they're taking care of their kids, or maybe they're customer service agents who, have to work, crazy hours. And, so this was a picture from Capital One from a recent employee story video and photography project. So, he wore all his Cap One gear and showed working from his house.
Oh, that's cool. That one I hadn't seen yet. That's cool.
We have kids, dogs. And on our LinkedIn, I didn't add it to our slideshow here. On our LinkedIn, you can see pictures from behind the scenes when Anna was capturing in Australia. And she was showing a mother who works from her home in Australia for Adele. And then she also took pictures with the kids, and she was holding up, what was it, Vegemite?
Yeah.
Vegemite.
Mm-hmm. Do the men at work.
Oh. Yes. They really made her try it. The kids really made her try it. So she was getting the global storytelling, and then also, experiencing the global culture too. Do we have any more things queued up?
No, I think that's it. And we're at 12:30, so we barely made it. But yes. And if anyone has any questions, we'll follow up with you directly. I know that we couldn't get, if there are some that we couldn't see them, but we will make sure we follow up with you if you did have some.
Sure. And if you are watching on demand, which I know a lot of people are going to watch it on their own time because they're so busy, maybe you're capturing stories all over the world right now, you can send your questions to us. You can email us at lauren@storiesincorporated.com. You can send them to me, jessica@storiesincorporated.com, and I'll get them to Lauren to take a look at. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and you can explore more of our resources, and we'll send you a link to this. Even if you're watching live, we'll send you a link to this recording so you can access it. And we'll also have in there, links to all of those different resources to help you out. So, Lauren, thanks for coming on camera today.
This is fun. And hopefully it was helpful. So your feedback, welcome everybody. Okay. All right, thanks, Jessica.
I'm not going to play any music. We're just going to cut it off now.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, bye.
Okay.